Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the GM. It is your guy, Belange. Up next, the Ravens have picked the wrong time to lose something. Let's talk. The Baltimore Ravens are heading into week 4 at 1-2 versus the Kansas City Chiefs at 1-2. Both teams sit at the bottom of their divisions. Both teams are going to come into this game desperate for a win. Who wins? We don't know. But the Baltimore Ravens are going to enter this game searching for themselves. They've seemed to have lost who they were. Translation, they're having an identity crisis. And this is something I've said about these Baltimore Ravens over the course of the last 3 seasons. I said many years ago that the Baltimore Ravens don't have true leadership, starting from the head down. I said several years ago that the Baltimore Ravens don't know who they are. And this is the reason why the Baltimore Ravens, when it gets tight, especially against high-end competition, the Chiefs, the Bills, the Steelers, and then from Sunday, the Detroit Lions. This is why they seem to crumble, collapse, and choke games away. There's a number of games where the Baltimore Ravens have been in it and they lose it. There's a number of games where the Baltimore Ravens have been up and sometimes double-digit leads and they lose those also. Why? Because when things get tight, nobody knows who they can turn to. Oftentimes, the head coach doesn't seem to have a plan. Oftentimes, the OC don't know whether to call a run or a pass. The DC, over the course of the last couple of seasons, doesn't seem to know when to blitz, when to run a stunt, or when to fall back into coverage. Why? Because nobody is leading anybody. You see, the Baltimore Ravens lack somebody who can snatch somebody up by the collar, whether that's figurative or literally, and say, you know what? I demand your best. You can't miss more tackles. You can't drop more balls. You can't keep fumbling. You can't keep taking sacks. You can't keep missing blocks. You can't keep dropping interceptions. See, they don't have nobody like that. And if somebody does say it, they don't follow it. They don't react or respond to it because this team doesn't have an identity. Now, you might be saying, Belange, we've heard this before, but that's only you saying it, not anymore. You see, I was minding my own business and a video dropped in my feed. I haven't watched The Odd Couple since Chris Broussard left that show a year ago. But I clicked on it. And I don't even know who Kelvin Washington is, but what he spoke on this podcast was the 100% truth. And so I wanted to bring it over here to you guys and let you take a listen to what this guy had to say. Now, let me give you some context. Washington is not a Ravens fan, but he did pick the Ravens from the beginning of the season to win the Super Bowl. So he does have a vested interest to be right. And his assessment of the Baltimore Ravens is not just about this game against Detroit, which he happens to be a fan of, the Lions. It's about who they've been and what they've been when things get tight. Let's take a listen.
You come into this game against, I have in the Super Bowl, you have winning the Super Bowl, and obviously a guy who competes for an MVP every year, and a guy who competes for Offensive Player of the Year, and Derrick Henry. And you come in, and you're able to put up 38 on this team, 426 yards. Here's the most important part. 224 rushing yards to their 85 rushing yards, and that includes Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson rushing. Only 85 yards. So I looked at this game, a couple of things. Now, I think the Lions have something that I am big on, and you know this. You've been doing out radio with me for a year. An identity, Rob. They know who they are, what they do, how they do it, no matter who. And that, to me, is attributed to Dan Campbell, Gamble. Dan Campbell knows exactly who he is. He knows exactly what this team is, and he knows exactly what they're capable of doing. And to me, I watched that game, and they look more prepared. They look more in sync. They look more united. They play tougher. They play faster. And I looked at them, and that was the contrast to Baltimore. Baltimore didn't look like they knew who was going to close. I call it ABC. If you're in sales, anybody listening to sales know what ABC means. Always be closing. And the Baltimore Ravens, they don't know how to close for whatever reasons. I have them going to the Super Bowl, but it makes you nervous picking them because they struggle closing games. And you don't know if it's Lamar. You don't know if it's John Harbaugh, who you've mentioned to be critical of. You don't know if it's the defense that's going to let them down. Defense, Ray Lewis rolling around in his bed. Every rolling around in his bed right now, the way that defense looks this season. So I look at this game and I walked away looking at Dan Campbell and looking at that Lions team saying they know exactly who they are and what they do. They're going to run the ball. They're going to smash it down. They're going to get after you defensively. They might not, but I was disappointed in the Ravens. The way they always look frazzled. They don't look like they know what to do. The Lions come out, they know exactly what fourth down they're running. They know exactly what play they're running on third down to get to the fourth down. They know exactly that they're going for it. And they look steady. The Ravens don't look steady when they're down or when it's close. So they look frazzled and weird at times. And again, who's going to be the person to step up? Is it John Harbaugh in his scheme and he's going to change and he's going to find a way to stop the run or find a way to put Lamar in better situations? Or is Lamar going to say, screw everybody on here, I'm going to get it done? I walked away like that's why we all have a little angst with the Ravens at times, because he's the best player. He's so skilled. So is Derrick Henry. But you walk away like, I don't know.
Now, when you listen to this clip, this 2 minutes and 7 seconds worth of audio, what you're going to hear and what you heard was an assessment of the Baltimore Ravens and what their real problem is. Yes, we understand offensive line is bad. We understand the defensive line hasn't played well. We understand that we don't have a pass rush. We understand that we don't force turnovers. We understand that we miss tackles. But what he talks about in a comparison is why the Detroit Lions won and why the Baltimore Ravens lost this game and have lost many others. They don't have an identity. He talked about how Dan Campbell, and he called him Gambling Campbell or something like that, which is a nickname they've given to their head coach for how he operates, his level of confidence, his level of guts, his level of intensity, and how it is rubbed off on the Detroit Lions. They will fight you from the start to the beginning. Even if they lose, they're still fighting. But sometimes when we look at this Baltimore Ravens team, as long as they're in the lead, they high-fiving, chest bumping, smiling, smacking each other on the back, laughing, chopping it up on the sideline. But if you ever pay attention to the Ravens, when they get down, when the game gets tied, when they're trying to figure out what to do, they look dejected and lost. And their leaders, those dudes with the supposed C on their chest, they look just as dejected and lost. So when things get tight, nobody knows who to follow. Why? Because there is nobody to follow. That's why the Baltimore Ravens don't know who's going to close. Is it going to be in Lamar Jackson's hands? Is it going to be in Derrick Henry's hands? Is somebody going to catch the ball and make a play? Or is it just on Lamar Jackson to make a play? Is somebody going to make a sack? Is somebody going to make a tackle? Is the defense going to get a stop? We don't know any of that. And that's why it looks like when John Harbaugh is trusting something at the end of the game, it looks like he's making a dumb decision because he don't know. That they're hoping that he has an answer, meaning the players. They're hoping John Harbaugh has an answer. He don't. In the Buffalo game, for an example, Josh Allen had breakfast, lunch, and dinner on the Baltimore Ravens defense. Harbaugh decides, let's just punt it away and trust the defense. Now, 48 minutes of this game, which means from the third drive of the second quarter up until that point, what had the defense done to say they could be trusted? Nothing. But you decide to kick it away? See, he don't know what to do because he needs somebody to follow too. See, remember, it wasn't that long ago where he got criticized, John Harbaugh that is, for trying to hire a game management coach. You guys remember what I'm saying? And so what we're getting now is just the byproduct, the outcome, the result of multiple years of not having an identity. When the game is on the line, they don't know what's going to happen. They don't believe they're going to get a stop. And oftentimes, they don't even know if they can score a touchdown. Because when we've needed to, the last 2 games that the game was on the line, guess what we didn't do? We didn't score. We don't have a system. We don't have no go-to play. We don't have that guy at wide receiver that you say, you know what, I'm just going to throw it to you. I know you're going to catch the ball. We don't have that. We don't have that guy right now that we can just hand it to and say, hey, go get us 3 yards for a first down. We don't have that. We don't have that guy at edge who you can say, just go, hey, collapse the pocket, get the quarterback, bring him to the ground. Let's close this game out. We don't have that. And you know what? In truth, we haven't had that in some time. Every year we show up, people are saying we're a contender. Those people would also include me. But I'm coming to the place very, very quickly to realize we ain't winning, for real winning, until we get some identity, and that requires a leader. You see, I get it. A lot of times we want Lamar Jackson to go unscathed. We want to excuse him from any type of loss because the blocking isn't good. Derrick Henry been fumbling, so on and so forth. Lamar Jackson is an incredible dude. He's an incredible person from everything that I hear, and he's an incredible football player. And when things go wrong, yes, we see him get frustrated. But that frustration doesn't motivate his team. That frustration does not challenge his team, nor does that frustration provoke them to follow him. It's true. Otherwise, that frustration would have turned into a win in game number 1. That same frustration would have turned into a win from this past Sunday. Please hear me. I'm not saying all of the winning and all of the losing is on Lamar Jackson. It's bigger than one person. What I'm saying is that the Baltimore Ravens no longer have an identity as a football team. I've been a Ravens fan since their inception, so we're talking about 30 years. And here's what's true. When they walked in the door and their first 2 draft picks was Ogden, left tackle, and Ray Lewis, linebacker, those were 2 guys that you could trust and follow from day one. And then came the other stalwarts of the Baltimore Ravens team. Y'all know the names. T. Sizzle, Ed Reed, not in that order. You guys remember Chris McAllister, who they added. You guys remember Jamal Lewis. You guys remember Ray Rice. You guys remember all of the names who came through the Baltimore Ravens organization. And no matter who came through, what you knew about the Ravens is we was going to hit you in the mouth defensively, and we was going to smash you in the mouth offensively. And we don't know either of those things right now. And it's the wrong time to be going up against a equally desperate Kansas City Chiefs team. Because you know what? They know who they are. They got 5 Super Bowl visits and 3 rings to prove it. They know they're getting old. They know they're not good along the offensive line. They know that they're not elite all the way at wide receiver. But what they do know is who they have at head coach. What they do know and trust in is who they have at quarterback. What they do know and trust in is who they have in a tight end. What they do know, who they have at defensive tackle and Chris Jones. What they do know is what they have in Trent McDuffie. That's what they do know. And when you have those guys and you can trust those guys, they don't have to look and know what Trent and Chris Jones and Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid and Travis Kelce is going to do. They know if they're doing their jobs, we must fall in line and do what? Our jobs. But when there's no leadership and no identity, everybody then looks at everybody else. I'm your guy, Boulanger, and I'm out.